Alrighty. So, we have gotten quite a few questions, I guess in particular about why we're doing this trip. So the first question is, why do the Mountains to Sea Trail?
That's a good question. So it's definitely one of those things that the first time that I realized what the Mountains to Sea Trail was, I kind of thought about it. And I was like, I think I'd like to do that. And maybe that's a combination of factors going together. It's challenging. It's got varied terrain, varied scenery. It's not a traditional like Appalachian Trail where you're just hiking the mountains consistently for months on end. Um, and it's as a native North Carolinian, it's certainly something that I love this state. I'm looking forward to getting to explore it in a different way than I have before.
All right, you mentioned different terrain. So, what features of the Mountains to Sea Trail interest you the most?
Um, in all the visits to the different places that I've gone in the western part of the state, no two places are the same on the ground. The mountain views a lot of times look kind of similar, especially if you catch the Smokies when the fog is over them and the lighting's just right and everything. There are a lot of places there from that vantage point that look the same, but when you're actually on the ground, different streams, different faces of the mountains, they all have different features, and I'm looking forward to just exploring those places because in a lot of places in the mountains, they kind of open up. The trail will open up into something unexpected, whether it's like a grove of ferns or a grassy area or something like that. And looking forward to that. I'm also looking forward to the beach walking and just kind of getting to see the beach in a different way than maybe I have before because I don't know that I've ever been more than a couple 100 feet from the just a drive up and park beach access. So certainly walking 80 miles along the beachfront is going to be very informative.
Very good. So, you mentioned, the mountains, you mentioned the beach. Do you have a segment that you are looking forward to the most?
Um, that's a good question, and I'm not certain that I have one picked out in particular. Um, I might have one that I'm kind of anticipating the most, and I believe I think it's segment 3 that I'm going to be doing pretty much a continuous 4 to 5 day backpacking trip on. And I've got some pretty ambitious mileage put in there. So I'm hoping that all that goes well and I come out where I'm supposed to at the end of it. And I haven't had to resort to foraging in the woods to get food. So,
All right. So, speaking of foraging, do you have a particular segment of the trail that you are looking forward to, or I guess the least looking forward to?
After spending a good bit of time researching into it, the New Siot Trail and just the general kind of southeastern part of North Carolina looks like it may be challenging and it may be really hot. The times that I've kind of been in that part of the state before were very warm, very humid.
Sticky.
Yeah, very sticky, and kind of that whole section, maybe from White Lake and onward to Cedar Island. I have some concerns there that I'm just going to be really hot and really uncomfortable, possibly.
Okay. So, speaking of just the trip in general, how are you training or preparing for the trail?
So my training plan is pretty simple. I've got I don't have time to walk or hike enough to really get ready for this. So what I'm doing instead is I'm doing a combination of running, and once the weather improves a little bit, I'm going to do some biking as well. I created basically a goal sheet where I started at 15 miles a week running, and I'm trying to work up a mile a week until the last week of my training. I think I'll be doing 33 miles, and just splitting that up into some doable runs, and also running some stadiums to get the elevation change in. And just 1 week of doing that, I could tell a huge difference from the first week of the stadium to the second week of the stadium, because I went from barely being able to walk the next day after doing the stadiums the first time, and then I did it again about a week later, and that one barely phased me. So
for anyone who doesn't know what a stadium is, can you explain that really briefly?
So you run up and down the steps of the stadium repetitively. I did a total of 1,200 feet in elevation gain when I did the first one, which is equivalent to maybe an average climb that I might make on the trail on in the mountain section, and I might make that multiple times in a day on the mountain section.
Okay. All right, take 3. So, with kids, you never know what you're going to get, right? Oh, here comes Rex.
Yep, he's like a kid. He's fine. I don't think he's going to distract me too much.
All right, so what have you learned from your previous hiking trips that you think has helped you prepare for this upcoming trip?
All right, so I guess I'll start with when I hiked the Foothills Trail. I did the Uwharrie Trail as something of a shakedown hike to kind of figure out if I was going to be able to make it for an extended period of time. And the Uwharrie Trail and I have a special relationship, because every time I go out on the Uwharrie Trail, it kicks my butt. And for anybody that's been on the Uwharrie Trail, there's really no reason for the Uwharrie Trail to kick your butt. But it just kind of goes to show, if you get out there and you make mistakes, like the first time I hiked it, I started out kind of like a jackrabbit, trying to jump rock to rock and everything. Didn't have a whole lot of experience with backpacking, and I averaged maybe 3 miles per hour for 2 or 3 hours. And then I was hurting so bad that every step for the rest of that 3-day trip was excruciatingly painful. And that one kind of taught me a lesson that just slow and steady wins the race. And try to hike along 2.5 miles per hour when you got a pack on, and there's nothing wrong with that. Went and hiked the Foothills Trail with that mentality. Didn't have any problems there.
Rex, go, buddy. Go.
Go on, buddy. Come on, get out of the camera. That'll be a cute camera roll there.
Oh, yeah. So went and hiked the Foothills Trail.
Yeah. Foothills Trail, no problems. Did, 18, 20 miles a day, something like that every day on that. And kept my feet dry and all that kind of stuff. And, it was fine. I hiked the Uwharrie Trail again last summer, and made another mistake. I let my feet get wet on the second day, and then I got all blistered up, and I was miserable again on my last day on the Uwharrie Trail. So again, got beat by the Uwharrie Trail, but learned that lesson, like, hey, keep your feet dry, manage the basics, and everything else will be fine. And hopefully I'm going to be able to take that on with me as I'm doing the summer, because I'm going to have to be really careful and manage all the things really well, or I'm going to have a really high pain tolerance to deal with all the things this summer.
All right, and then the last question. What advice do you have to impart to any beginning hikers after having been a hiker for a few years now?
I guess pay attention to your body. have to be careful not to put yourself in a place where you're going to be in pain, because that's what makes you lose a lot of enjoyment out of a hike sometimes, is when you maybe push too hard, or get onto something that you're not prepared for physically, and then end up being in a lot of pain as a result of it. So just being careful, knowing your limits, and listening to and taking care of your body as you go.
Very good. Well, that is all the questions we have for today. Thank you. All right, Miss Payton, I have a couple of questions for you. A little interview to talk about our trip this summer, okay? So, why do you want to go on our trip this summer?
I just want to see new places, and also, I want to see all the places that we're going to go to, and see all of the stuff that they have, and all that nice stuff.
Okay. All right, so the next question I have for you is, what one thing are you most excited about for this summer?
I don't know. To go on this big trip.
Just to go on the trip is exciting. What are you most scared or nervous about?
I'm nervous about smelling chips poop.
You know, smelling chips poop. Oh my. All right, what is one thing that you hope you get to see this summer?
That place, what is it called? Where are we going this summer?
Oh, Biltmore?
Oh, yeah.
You're excited to go to Biltmore? Yeah. What is most exciting about Biltmore to you?
Well, they just have a lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff there you're excited to go see?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What's one thing that you hope that you accomplish this summer? So what's one thing you want to try and do this summer?
Well, I want to try to do a lot of stuff.
You just want to do a lot of stuff this summer?
Mm-hmm. And try to complete them all, like Biltmore and all the other places.
All right, Payton. Last question. So, what is one thing that you are scared or excited about living in a camper for 2 months?
I'm scared about the potty.
The potty? Oh, okay. What about the potty is scary to you?
Well, it's because, it will probably smell a lot, and I'll probably smell it from my room. It's going to be very stinky.
All right, Payton. Well, I think that is all our questions for now, okay?
Are you sure?
Yeah.
All right, Jennifer. Why do you want to go on the trip?
I think the biggest thing for me wanting to go on the trip is Will and I have been married. You and I have been married for 11 years?
Yeah.
11 years, and I've grown to kind of like the guy. So the idea of being away from him for 2 months solid and kind of having sporadic, contact is not something that I would want. And I think knowing that he would be out there alone kind of makes me, a little bit nervous. And so at least with the girls and I kind of following along on the trip, on the journey, we're able to support him, make sure that he's getting the contact he needs as far as making sure he's got the food he needs, making sure he's not injured and just, trying to hobble along or whatever, making sure he's got the nutrition he needs, supporting him with getting the bike and the pack and kind of trading all that out. I don't know, just kind of giving the girls an adventure too, instead of us being stuck at home for 2 months, hoping that he makes it back safely. So.
All right, so what are your expectations going into this trip?
I think my overall expectation is that it's going to be a lot of work. It's going to be fun, I think, but I also think that it's going to be terrifying at the same time. It's going to be a lot on me, as far as making sure that the camper is where it needs to be and making sure that I follow my calendar correctly, to which campground I need to be at which night. And I think as long as I have the expectation that I need to be on my toes at all times, I think I'll be fine. And there also comes the point of the security factor, because the world has gotten to be a crazy place. And I want to make sure that first and foremost that myself, my husband, and my children are as safe as possible. Whether it be with COVID restrictions or whether it be with crazy people that are in the world or whatever. I think just making sure that I'm aware of my surroundings and that I use all the knowledge that my parents and my husband and everybody has kind of passed down to me, and just do what I need to do to make it be a good trip. So.
All right, so what are you excited about for the trip?
I'm excited to just kind of get out and see parts of North Carolina that I haven't before, and also seeing some of the places that I have seen before but maybe haven't seen lately. I love the mountains, and the idea of getting to spend a week or two in the mountains is very exciting to me. And I think the idea of being able to see new campgrounds, because I think a lot of times, and we've experienced this before, when you go and do the same thing on every trip, it kind of, the first time is really exciting, and then the second time you're like, it's still okay, but maybe something different. But I think in this trip we have a lot of new campgrounds that we're staying at, and I'm excited to see those places and to meet new people in the process, and also to give our girls an adventure, because in Abigail's interview I did earlier, she's excited that she's getting out and she's seeing the world this summer. The world of North Carolina, granted, but she's excited, and I'm excited to see my children excited. So.
Yeah, no, you got me to thinking about. I don't think we've stayed in but one of those campgrounds. Well, maybe two if you count Clearwater as well.
Yeah.
So we've only stayed in about two of the campgrounds out of the, 10 to 15.
Right.
So. You can edit that part out.
Oh, that's fine. And something else to kind of add to that too is, there's something to be said to going somewhere that you're comfortable. But I'm pretty active on social media, and that has actually been a positive, because I've been able to join a group or two that's exclusively for people who kind of share ideas and share their thoughts about camping in Eastern North Carolina, which is very helpful for me, because I can read on there, hey, this is a good campground to consider when planning this process. Or maybe, this campground isn't as kid-friendly or whatever. So that's also been really helpful.
So what are you nervous or scared about?
The question you asked earlier, how long do I have? I think, as I said before, the world has gotten to be a kind of crazy place. And I guess what some people would consider a helicopter mom. I hover over my children, and I constantly remind them of, don't talk to strangers, don't do this. When we're in the grocery store, you stay with me. And I think that I worry about, because there are going to be some nights that Willa's going to be backcountry camping, and it's just going to be me in the camper with the girls, with our pets. And security for me is always a big thing. I want to feel safe, and I tend not to sleep very well when I don't have that safety and security with me. I think another big thing that I'm worried about is backing the camper. Probably not too many people know, I did at one point have my CDL and drove a bus, like school bus. But that's been a hot minute since I've done that, and the idea of backing the camper, and I've shared this with Will, but it's probably been a week ago, I had a dream, and here lately I've kind of been dreaming really weirdly, but I had a dream that I was at a campground, and I had to back the camper, and I had a very small amount of space to be able to swing the camper and back it into the spot I had. And I dreamt that I missed it, and I basically drove into the ditch, jumped over the culvert and jumped into the ditch and got the camper stuck at our very first campground. Granted, the dream I had was not even the first campground we're staying at, but that dream was like a wake-up call of you probably need to practice before you go, to your first campground. Because a lot of the places we are staying, just to kind of save some money, we're, getting a back-in only site, so.
All right, so what do you plan to do while Will hikes?
Lounge. I don't know. So one of the things that I really want to try and make sure that I'm doing is remaining active. I've been on a very, very long weight loss journey, and any mom who's watching this knows that once you have children, it's even harder to lose weight. And unfortunately, I have a love of food, and so I'm going to try and balance this with fun and exciting things for the children, for our girls, but also making sure that I'm doing what I can to remain active. All the state parks that we visit, or even ones, where we're close by, I'm hoping to let the girls go and hike. And something I'll share a link with on this video, Kids in Parks is something I know that Central North Carolina, along with other state parks and surrounding states, they have a cool program where kids, and I'm not sure if they're still sending out prizes this year, but a couple years ago our girls did quite a few of the trail things, and what you do is basically go online and you submit, what trail you did what day, and the kids are able to learn about the flora, the fauna. They're able to learn about, everything, because when you get there, you have there's different brochures, and the kids can get one of their brochures, and it teaches them about things on the trail. So I really want to make sure that we're doing that. Taking the girls biking, swimming, obviously. Both my girls are like little fish. They love to swim constantly. So exploring all that we can. Probably some shopping, grocery and otherwise. And supporting Will. There's a couple of parts on the trail where we're kind of have to trade off. Give him his bike and take his pack, and then meet him at another part, to take the bike back. So I think we're definitely going to be busy. But I also hope that there's a lot of downtime. I've gotten myself a journal that I'm going to try and journal, as well as vlog everything that we're doing. So I'm going to be busy. There's no doubt about it. So. All right, Miss Abigail. So we have a couple of questions for you. So the first question is, why do you want to go on the trip this summer?
Why?
Mm-hmm.
Why is because we get to explore the world. Like, literally explore the world. We get to go to the mountains all, 2 months in a camper, living in the camper. This is us right here at our house.
Mm-hmm.
This is up to the mountains.
Mm-hmm.
And that is at the beach.
Very good.
That's
all right.
going to be pretty exciting.
So what is the one thing that you are most excited about for the trip this summer?
Most excited about? Well, the most exciting thing is we get to be where we've never been before.
Mm-hmm.
Like going to Biltmore and going to the beach and going to all these new places.
Okay. What's one thing that you are most scared or nervous about for this summer?
That isn't the easiest question of my life. It's about our dad, Will.
Mm-hmm.
He is going to be hiking on literal sand, water. That's where he's going to be hiking.
Mm-hmm.
There's also sharks, alligators, crocodiles, because he's not only going to be hiking, but he's going to be hiking, camping, and he's going to be boating. So.
Mm-hmm. All right. What is one thing that you are most excited about seeing this summer?
Oh yeah, another thing for the most nervous.
Mm-hmm.
Chicken Rex.
Oh.
As in Stinky.
In the camper, yeah.
Oh yeah, let me show you too. 1 second. You got a nice little meowing.
Yes, this is Kitty Chip.
He's
All
my
right.
cat. I got him for my early 8th birthday.
Mm-hmm. All right. What's one thing that you're most excited about this summer, Abigail?
Excited about getting to have movie nights without Daddy knowing. So our mom Jennifer told us that we could have movie nights when our dad is away, and we can order pizza and have ice cream and stay late hours after bedtime watching a movie.
Very good. All right. What is one thing that you're most nervous about this summer? I already asked you that. That's silly, isn't it? What is one thing that you're most excited about seeing this summer?
It's between Biltmore. Mommy, do we get to go to the spa?
Mm-mm.
No. I really want to experience going to the spa. Then I think that I'm most excited about, it's either Biltmore, basically the whole ride.
You're just excited for the whole trip?
Yeah.
All right, and then what is the one thing that you're most nervous or excited about in living in a camper for 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
2 months. 2 months.
Not week. Months. Week.
Months.
Are different. If it was 2 weeks, it would be so boring. Well, there's really not one thing that I've already described all that I'm nervous about. Oh, there's one more thing. We're gonna have to empty the camper toilet holder every so once in a while.
Yep.
Because it can't hold all that stuff for 2 months.
Mm-mm.
If we do, we would, the camper would be overflowing with poop, so
Yep.
that would be really bad.
Yep.
Literally
All right.
really bad.
Well, I think that is all my questions, Miss Abigail. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Join us next time as we work on the screen door of the camper, showing you all the ins and outs of that.
Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. And as always, see you on the trail.
Bye!